I didn't expect to be making this video, but this isn't a goodbye, it's a reflection on where the miniature industry is headed and how I'm covering my own path within it. It's a story about the challenges creators face in the hobby, about what happens when passion and saturation collide, and about the Demon Queen sculpt that's helping me regain my fire. For the past year, I've been working as the marketing director for an STL company you've probably heard of. It was a dream job. I got to combine two of my passions, marketing and miniature painting. I helped shape content, dug into ad data, collaborated with amazing influencers, wrote tutorials, and best of all, I get to paint miniatures as part of my job. What could be better than all that? But as with many things in the hobby industry, we wanted to grow. After months of planning, we launched our expansion efforts. New products, new strategies, new audiences. We were successful, just not as successful as we had hoped. And so the company made the tough call to do a round of layoffs, and I was one of them. I want to be clear, I don't hold any grudges. I was hired with a goal in mind, to help expand into new markets. That's a big challenge in a very saturated space. And in the end, it didn't pay off in the way we had hoped. I'm incredibly grateful for my time in that role. Though I had a marketing background already, this was my first time fusing that with my creative life as a miniature painter. And that intersection, that's where I learned the most. I've grown so much as a strategist, a creator, and a storyteller. And I know that somehow, someday, the lessons that I learned in this job will serve me well again. Maybe in another studio, or maybe in something of my own creation. But what happened? Well, here's the truth. The miniature painting industry is getting more and more competitive by the day. And in many areas, it's downright saturated. Let's talk numbers for a second. Games are the third most popular category on Kickstarter, and within that, tabletop games are by far the biggest subcategory. In 2024, over 6,600 tabletop projects launched. 5,314 of them were successfully funded. That's an 80% success rate, the highest in Kickstarter's 15-year history. And a staggering $220 million were pledged to tabletop campaigns. So that sounds amazing, right? But there's a flip side. Despite the growth in successful projects, the average funding per campaign has steadily declined since the pandemic. In 2019, successful tabletop campaigns earned $67,350 on average. In 2023, that number fell to $45,982. Last year, Kickstarter says it dropped to just $41,400. And if we remove Brandon Sanderson's hugely successful campaign, the number decreases further to $38,566 on average for successful tabletop creators. What does that mean? It means the field is crowded. There are more creators making more cool stuff. Games, physical miniatures, STLs, painting tools, and more. But there's only so much time in the day, so many games you can play, and so many miniatures you can paint. And with every new campaign, the expectations get higher. Backers are excited, but also tired. It's a kind of Kickstarter fatigue. But here's the key thing I want you to hear. The market isn't dead, it's evolving. Yes, there's more noise, more creators, more STLs, and indie games than ever before. But we're also seeing a shift. A move away from the oversized, overhyped campaigns and towards something more personal. Backers aren't disappearing, they're just becoming more intentional. They want quality, they want authenticity, they want connection. And honestly, that's not a threat, that's an opportunity. When you hear about layoffs, failed launches, burnout, it's easy to think that the golden age of miniature painting is over. And while the initial boom we saw has begun to slow down, that just means it's time to build something more real. And that's the space I want to create in. So where does that leave me? While I continue to post exclusive tutorials on Patreon, this Kickstarter is part of the answer. It aligns with the exact reason I started this channel. I want more badass female miniatures. Not just pinups or generic warriors, but characters with story, presence, and power. And I know I'm not alone in that. This new Kickstarter was inspired by Lilith, the supposed first wife of Adam, the OG demon and mother of monsters. So I partnered once again with Witchsong Miniatures to bring Lilith to life. Thrown from the Garden of Eden for refusing to submit, Lilith rose as the first demon, muscular, vampiric, and absolutely unbowed. She's flanked by hellhounds, vampire bants, and the cursed souls who march with her into revenge. Every miniature is sculpted with incredible detail, fit for both display cases and game tables. She's regal, she's terrifying, and she's only available for a few more days. This campaign isn't about chasing trends or getting market shares. It's about creating a miniature that I wish was around when I first started this hobby 10 years ago. In a world where women are still asked to tone it down, Lilith is a reminder that power, rage, and beauty can coexist together. I'm not promising a revolution, I'm just sharing what I love with people who love it just as much as I do. So what comes next? I believe we're heading into an era of creator-led, story-rich, high-quality miniatures. And that means differentiation will matter more than ever. Quality, unique artistic voice, community connection. And I think we will see a resurgence of physical, lower-cost miniatures to move beyond the limited market of individuals with 3D printers. So if this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt the fatigue or the fire to make something new, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about where we think the hobby is going, and let's shape it together. And if my project, The Story of Lilith, or this labor of love speaks to you, I'd be honored to have you support it. Because yeah, I lost my job, but I didn't lose my passion. And with your help, maybe this next chapter can be something even more meaningful. So remember, go back Lilith, Goddess of the Damned on Kickstarter. If Kickstarter isn't your thing, the next best way that you can support me is to join me over on Patreon, where you can get behind the scenes content, my every other weekly live streams, miniature critiques, extra tutorials, and more. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. It means the world to me to hear from you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.